Hi first graders, we're back with another mini lesson today, and our focus today is going to be finding the author's point. In order to find the author's point, we're going to have to remember how to find the main idea and the key details. So let's think back. When we're finding the main idea, we're asking ourselves, what is this text or passage mostly about? That's the question we're asking while we're reading and after we read. Now, the key details help support the author's main idea. That means they're giving me facts. They're giving me evidence to support the main idea. Now, the main idea is related to the author's point. When an author sits down to write a text, they have a point that they want to prove. They want to tell us about something. And in order to do that, they have to establish a main idea, what their passage is mostly going to be about, and they've got to use those key details. They have to give us facts or information to help support that main idea. All right, so when you're thinking today, you're going to think about, what does the author want me to know? That's going right along with our main idea. What is this passage mostly about? What do they want me to know? What do they want to prove? That means, what do they want us to walk away knowing more about after we've read this passage? I have to know the main idea and the key details in order to figure out the author's point. The main idea is going to tell us why the author wrote the passage. Maybe the passage, like the other day, was all about stingrays. The author's point there was he wanted to tell us about stingrays. That was the point he was trying to make. He thought they were interesting. He gave us lots of key details about the things that they ate, how they were related to sharks. So he was giving us information about stingrays. His point was to teach us more about stingrays and why they're interesting. All right, so let's try to practice what that looks like. Here we have a poem called Apples, Apples. While I'm reading, I want you to think, what is this passage mostly about? What are some of those key details? And then today we're going to be thinking about, what does the author want to prove to me? What is their point? Apples juicy, apples round, on the tree or on the ground. Apples yellow, apples red, apple pie and juice and bread. Apples crunchy, apples sweet, apples are so good to eat. All right, so I heard a lot about apples. I heard some color words. I also heard some words that describe what they sound like when you eat them or when you put what they taste like as well. Let me read that passage again. So I'm thinking that this passage is probably about apples and the types of apples and the different sounds or the senses I can use around apples. But let's see. Apples juicy, apples round, on the tree or on the ground. Apples yellow, apples red, apple pie and juice and bread. Apples crunchy, apples sweet. Apples are so good to eat. All right, so I'm pretty sure the main idea here is about apples. And some of the key details that the author uses are describing words telling me about different types of apples, where I can find them, what they might taste like. So I think the point that the author is trying to prove in this poem is that apples are something that are good to eat. Just like the main idea, he's telling me all about apples, he's giving me those key details, and in this poem, he is trying to prove to me that apples are something good to eat. All right, we're going to look at one more poem, and this one you're going to try with me. So let's read it. Rainy day. Rain, 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 falling, falling down. Drip, drop, rain hit the ground. Wet, 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 there is no outside play. Puddles and puddles, I want a sunny day. So I'm going to stop and think, what is this text mostly about? Looking for that main idea. I've heard a lot about rain. I've heard sounds like drip and drop. I can't go outside. So all of those are key details that support the idea that it's a rainy day. Let's read it one more time, and this time let's think about what point is the author trying to prove with this poem. Rain, rain, falling down, drip, drop, rain hit the ground. Wet, 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 there is no outside play, puddles and puddles, I want a sunny day. All right, so I'm going to stop for a moment and I want you to think to yourself, what do you think the author is trying to prove in this poem? All right, so hopefully you thought about the main idea, that it's about rain. Some of the key details is that it's falling, can't go outside, it's wet, there's puddles. So if I had to decide what would be the author's point here, what is the reason they wrote this poem, is to tell me that they are tired of the rain and that they are ready for some sun. So they're trying to prove that they don't want any more rain, they want it to be sunny. All right, boys and girls, now it's time for you to show what you know on the next few slides. Remember to read, thinking about what is the passage mostly about, find those key details, and then you're going to put it all together by finding the author's point. Again, what are they trying to prove? What do they want us to know when we walk away after reading the passage? Thanks for listening.